Woke up this morning to about 30 emails and messages in my inbox, all questioning Jesus' color and asking how did Jesus, a Middle Eastern Jew, come to be depicted as being white? Well, on this Resurrection Sunday, I'm going to repost a video I did some time ago on the subject, and I hope it answers some questions. And make sure you stay to the end of the video for my opinion on the matter, which might ruffle some feathers in a good way. So, here you go. Yes, the conspiracy theories behind why Jesus is depicted as white are true. Kinda. Sorta. Wait. I remember the first time, about 10 years back, that I said from a stage that Jesus wasn't white. You would have thought I farted in some of those people's coffee. I didn't say that to be some woke speaker. I was actually talking about a cultural situation that was going on in Luke 4, and I said it off cuff. But wow, it got a response. I know people want to say it doesn't matter what color Jesus is, but trust me, some people apparently still think it does. So, when and why did the Western world start envisioning Jesus as a tall, attractive, long-haired, blue-eyed white dude? Gospels never describe Jesus' appearance, and prophetic description of him, such as Isaiah 53, say that he had no form of majesty that we should look at him and no beauty that we should desire him. So, he's not attractive. We know the style of hair around that time was short, with unshorn beards, unless you took a Nazirite vow, which Jesus obviously didn't because he drank wine. And there are moments where Jesus disappeared into Jewish crowds as an adult, so he didn't stick out. And we know from DNA analysis, first century male Judean Jews resembled current day Iraqi Jews. Dark brown or black hair and eyes, olive brown skin, Mid-Eastern. John of Patmos described a vision of a heavenly Jesus in Revelation 1:14-15, yet it's a vision. How much is poetic license? But what we do know is Jesus wasn't white. So when and why did he get whitewashed? Belief in Jesus spread throughout the Roman Empire for the first 300 years. Believing in a savior from an oppressed minority group from the frontier of the Roman Empire was a tough sell. Not much has changed. The earliest images of Jesus, they weren't concerned with accuracy as they were about depicting Jesus as a divine ruler. So he was presented as a beardless youth based on more accepted pagan iconography like Dionysus, Orpheus, Hermes, and Apollo. He was often depicted in a toga, which he would not have worn, with longer hair in Assyrian style. So here the conspiracy theorists, they're right. Jesus was depicted as more of a pagan-styled god, which were the major influences at the time. That's pretty much where that conspiracy ends. There was no organization trying to make him look a certain way, pulling all the strings, at least not yet. By the 5th century, Christianity was the Roman state religion, so artists depicted Jesus like them, European features and lighter skin, to deepen their own connection. And as Rome's influence expanded, so did Roman Jesus. And during the Middle Ages, a letter dated from before 35 AD from a fictional Roman governor named Publius Lentulus circulated widely, describing Jesus as tall, light-haired, white-complexioned, and rosy-cheeked with blue eyes, shoring up the idea of European Jesus. There's the European saints, Lord bless them, such as Saint Veronica, almost all having visions of him as white. This whitewashing Jesus continued in Europe, and almost every famous painter depicted Jesus as white. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, look. When the church was paying the bills, they weren't interested in making connections to a Middle Eastern Jew, especially with all the raging anti-Semitism going on. Even more distance was put between representations of Jesus and his historic roots. And as Europeans colonized the world, they brought this representation of Jesus with them. And well, colonizers placing a god that looked like them over the people they were subjugating, that comes in handy. Still think it's not happening in our modern day and age? The most famous painting of Jesus was made in 1940 for an evangelical seminary by a guy named Walter Salmon. It's been printed more than 1 billion times, hangs in hundreds of millions of homes and churches, and seen by more people in the world than any other painting in the 20th century. And in that painting, Jesus is about as white as it gets. Still think it doesn't matter? Pick up almost any children's illustrated Bible and look at the illustrations. White, 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 token. White, 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 white. Jesus was not white. But it's not a massive, shadowy conspiracy group pulling strings. Nah, it's just nasty, old-fashioned anti-Semitism. And we can say looks don't matter, but if that's the case, why are so many folks uncomfortable bowing down and worshiping a Jesus depicted as Korean or black? Why are some Americans more comfortable with this Jesus than this Jesus? Food for thought. Maybe this is why God said that we shouldn't make any images or bow down to idols made of him. Because he knows our hearts and our minds and how much we want our God to look like us, instead of us moving from glory to glory, filled with the love of God and love of our neighbor, and becoming like Him.